It's okay.
All right, guys. I think Kelton had a flat tire, so he's a little late. But that's fine. I don't think he's going to actually come to all the guest lectures necessarily. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the guest lectures are about, the whole idea is to help you guys get insight into how what you're learning applies to the real world. It's going to give you a little bit of help on your weeks, whatever you're working on. It'll be related, but it's not necessarily, the point of this isn't for you to be asking questions about the Android logo, because he has no idea what that is. So it's more focused on helping get you a connection to a company that's hiring summer interns and helping give you some insight into how what you're doing applies to the real world. So for our first speaker, I'm excited to introduce Miles. He used to be a software developer at Dojo 4, which is a local software development firm that's down on Pearl. And he just recently became the VP of engineering at a company called EquityEats, which is a crowdfunding platform for restaurants, coffee shops, bars, stuff like that. And so he's going to be talking a little bit today about EquityEats, as well as showing you guys a little bit of Git workflow from the terminal and kind of how that applies to his job and show you something in real time. So let's give him a little round of applause.
Thanks, Fletcher. Happy to be here. Happy to be your first guest lecturer. So yeah, like Fletcher said, EquityEats is a company. We're the first equity crowdfunding platform for restaurants and bars. So what the equity part of that means is that people that invest into a restaurant on our platform actually own part of the company and actually get financial returns on their investment. Most of you are wondering, like, oh, why don't we just use Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or whatever? Kickstarter and Indiegogo are donation-based crowdfunding. So in other words, you pay $100, you get a t-shirt, or you get a free month of service, or whatever. You don't actually own any part of the company. And that makes it extremely hard to raise enough capital to actually do something big like open a restaurant. It's great for smaller amounts of money, but for the hundreds of thousands of restaurants that have tried to raise money in Kickstarter, only 3 of them have ever raised more than $100,000, and those have all been like a city restaurant or something that the whole city was giving money or something like that. So that's what we're about. We're actually taking advantage of the newly passed Jobs Act. That Title III of that allows for non-accredited investors. So an accredited investor is someone that has, if they're single, more than $200,000 worth of net salary. If they're married, $300,000, or net worth of over $1 million. That's what it takes to be accredited. Non-accredited have never been able to invest in equity crowdfunding at all ever before. Accredited. That's what Title III of the Jobs Act allows. And DC and 12 other states, because the SEC is being a little slow in releasing the rules nationwide, 13 states stepped up and said, hey, you can do non-accredited investments here in our state. And as of today, we are the only ones that have been officially approved by DC to have non-accredited investors invest money and actually own parts of a restaurant. Which is really exciting because the first DC one we're doing is a 17,000 square foot facility that we are buying, where we can have 6 restaurants that are raising money on our platform have a pop-up at any one time, so people that are interested in them can come and get some food, meet entrepreneurs, and get excited about it before they invest. So it's a really cool space. So we're doing a ton of things. We're doing stuff. There's obviously an investment platform that goes along with it. It's educating people about the investment process, educating people about the restaurants that are raising money on our site, walking them through the investment process, collecting money. The last week, connecting bank accounts to people so people can come in and get their bank account, and then we'll take $50,000 out of their bank account. That was fun. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff too. One of the reasons that restaurants fail, obviously, location's part of it. That's why we're really excited about non-accredited investors, because if you're someone that's in Boulder and you're like, oh, it would be awesome if we had this like super sweet Korean restaurant on this spot or whatever. Like right now, what can you guys do about that? Nothing. Like hope some sweet rich Korean dude comes in and opens a restaurant. What? Nothing. You can't do anything. That's what we're doing. Is if 1,000 people in Boulder say, oh, it would be awesome to have that Korean spot right there, and we'll all pitch in $100. Pretty good validation of that concept at a certain point, right? The other part of it that restaurants fail is people that are really passionate about making food aren't always the best business people. So part of the software challenges that we have are providing a suite of tools for people that successfully raise money on our platform to operate their business well. So you'd be surprised. So we got someone on staff that's been in culinary school, an executive chef, run several restaurants, and most of these restaurants are run like on Excel spreadsheets. Like, it's really kind of hokey and it's really kind of weird. And actually, a lot of times they don't even have a good idea of like, hey, I'm charging $30 for that plate, and I'm paying a vendor $40 for that plate. Hey, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, seriously, restaurants don't know that and don't understand that. And that's part of like this stuff that software we can do. We can really easily tell you, hey, that's a bad idea, all right? So that's part of the software that we're building at EquityEats, is to have people that can come, successfully raise money, get excited about an idea, and then we can go, hey, you're passionate about the food, that's awesome. Use this great suite of tools to operate your business well, because you're not necessarily the best business person. That's cool. You don't have to be. So those are some of the technical challenges that we're solving. We're hiring summer interns to join. The team is in Washington, D.C. right now, but I am hiring and building the team in Colorado. So it's really exciting to be in lots of different places. Our showroom, the first one that I was telling you about, is in D.C., but we have plans to open one in San Francisco by the end of the year, New York, Chicago after that next year, so it'll be really exciting. And people will get to see your code if you come work with us. Okay, so let's get into some code, and then I'll have some questions at the end. So Fletcher was telling me that you guys learned a little bit about, you did some HTML and CSS stuff, and then you did some GitHub stuff, right? So you probably don't understand maybe that Git and GitHub are different. Is that like mind-blowing? Anybody? Okay, so Git is just, maybe I'm repeating it, no, it's okay. Git is just a version control system, so a way of tracking changes to the code. GitHub is just a service that hosts GitHub repositories. There are a lot of services out there that host Git repositories. In fact, we don't even use GitHub. We use a service called Bitbucket because we're a startup and this is free. So, I mean, it's pretty similar to GitHub in that you can just like have a repository and you can come in here and, hey, there's my code, and I can push and pull changes to it, and great, it works pretty much like GitHub. So that's pretty cool. And then you did some HTML and CSS stuff. So one thing I was going to walk through, so EquityEats.com, we've been getting a lot of press lately. Forgive the fugliness of the website I've inherited, and actually sent out a job offer to a designer today to get them to do that. But anyway, we've been getting a lot of really cool press. NPR, Washington Post, we were on the front page of the print edition of the Washington Post last Sunday. That was really cool. And then we were on their website last week, Washington Z-Paper. Tons of people have been doing awesome press. And so we just made this quick press page where we list all of the links. So we had 4 more in the last week. Someone's going to add those to that page. So I figured I could just walk through that process and how that works and just show you guys how I would update that. So I guess let's get started. And if you have any questions, feel free to shout them out, okay? So I think Fletcher said you guys are all using Sublime. I've used that in the past, but I much prefer the command line. After a while of coding, you'll realize how slow it is to take your hands off the keys and go to the trackpad and then have to go back to the keys. It seems stupid, but trust me, write a lot of code and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So have you guys gotten into Git branches at all? Okay, so Git branches are just, there's a lot more to it, but basically kind of a way to segment your work efforts. So everything is in a branch called master. That master is a complete copy of what's on the website right now in this moment. And normally when I'm working on different features, like you can see I've got a bunch of them, staging, grouping, staging, mass pay. Those are all like feature branches. So I'm working on a different feature in that branch, and eventually at some point that will be going on separate, completely separate from the website. And at some point I'll be like, oh yeah, that's ready to go. I'll merge that branch into the branch that I'm going to then push to the website. It's just a clean way to separate your efforts when you're working on a project. It's also really helpful when you're working with a team of people to make it really clean and obvious that, hey, this work over here is on this stuff. This may not make sense, but I hopefully it'll help to like just see it happen, and you'll learn more about it later. But so I'm gonna make a new branch just called Master Press, and just make a new branch. I'm on the new branch, so let's fire up Rails. So we're using Ruby on Rails, web application written in Ruby. I know when I went through computer science school, we were doing C, C++. I know nowadays it's a lot of Java, but I think you'll find Java is really cool if you're going to go work for bigger corporations. But a lot of smaller sized companies do a lot of Ruby on Rails stuff. So it's a useful tool to know, and Ruby's a good language to get.
Is there a reason why?
Well, I mean, I guess in the startup world, I mean, it's kind of a personal preference almost. But the reason that large corporations stick to Java is because it's a language that's been around for 30 years. And when you have a company of that size, it takes a lot of money to switch a language.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, their point isn't necessarily to be on the cutting edge of technology. Their point is to know, we've got people that know how to use this, and we know that this tool, it can meet our needs. It's been around for 30 years, so it's, it's been through its paces, so it's good. Like that's their approach. Our approach to it is like, we want the best cutting edge stuff. Java's cool and all, but we're gonna go with Rails. So there are more nuanced answers to that, and everyone will have a different answer, but that's kind of the main reason about large companies why they stick to Java. So I'm using a program called Vim. It's just a text editor on the command line. So basically, instead of a GUI graphic user interface that Sublime is on, I'm using the command line. So here's some HTML. This is an ERB file. It stands for something Ruby. Embedded Ruby, that's right. Embedded Ruby. It's basically a templating language that Ruby on Rails uses. The only important thing to really know is like most of this should look, and it's basic HTML except this part. That is the ERB that's just basically generating a link, so it'll generate that. Does that make sense? Okay, so basically we've got an unordered list here, UL, with a bunch of list item elements in here. And each one is just a link to the press link that we've gotten. So I just made a copy of the last one, and I'm going to go back to my list of the ones I sent. Oh yeah, this is our new building we just got.
Nice.
Living Social had it, and they put $7 million into renovating it, so it's super sweet. It's actually the alleyway that's right next to it is the alleyway that John Wilkes Booth escaped from the Ford Theater on after he shot. It's like a big plaque out there. So yeah, that's the title of the article. Just paste this in here. Paper. Just link to it. So I've got Rails running locally, and so then I can, with without having to have internet connection or anything. I can just go navigate to my local host, see it all running. Should make this smaller. I can go to /press, and then there's the link I just added. So, and I can, it's easier to look at. If you haven't, one thing that you'll learn at some point, I'm sure, is how to use browser developer tools. They're really important. It's one of the kind of tools of the trade that you really need to have a good firm grasp on. But basically, these are the Chrome developer tools, and they're allowing me to see the elements on the page. You can see it like highlights that. So there's my A tag, the href of the link. There's the title I have in there. The A tag over here gives me some nice style stuff, and you can play with like clicking different things to see how it affects in real time. You can mess with stuff. Anyway, there are a lot of cool stuff. You can go to the Chrome developer tools, but I just wanted to show you the HTML that it outputs. So anyway, so I'll go back here and add the other ones. Anyone have any questions while I'm doing this?
I did.
Yeah.
The Chrome developer tool that you're, it's just a regular one, or do you have a preferred one that you, or are there different ones that I actually don't have?
Sorry.
The Chrome developer tool that you're using, is that just tool, is that do you have, is that the one that they use regularly, or do you use one that's different? I guess is the question.
You mean like the development tools that ship with Chrome, or do I use something else?
The Chrome developer tools that you're just using, you use the one that they have?
Yeah. Yep. So Chrome, I mean, those are the default ones that Chrome ships with. On Mac, it's Command Option J to show them, but I think you can also do it.
Question on the developer tool there. Could you pull code from any website with that? Like if I were to go to Airbnb, would I be able to pull code from there?
You mean like view their code?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's one of the nice things. I mean, so you can just do this, view page source, and in Chrome you can just scroll down the source, which is somewhat helpful, but I actually use that a lot just to, like, I can go to someone's blog and just hit view page source and see really quick if it's like WordPress. Because you'll see in here like, copyright WordPress. I'm like, oh, that dude didn't code it himself. Okay, cool.
So,
but anyway, yeah, I can, so this is the actual code for Airbnb, and you can see it's.
Is it legal for someone to just take that code, copy it? If they wanted to design like off the structure of the Airbnb homepage.
It's absolutely. I mean,
And then
it's kind of like copyright. I mean, like you don't want to have it, all the colors and all the pictures and like totally rip it off. But actually, that's one of the great way to learn front end skills and front end design skills is to see concepts that you really like. Pop it in the developer tools and
and then just mess with all those.
See what they did.
see what they did, see how it works. So like if you're, I don't know, I really like how inspect element is something you use all the time. So right click on something and just hit inspect element,
And then that drops you straight to
yeah, and then you can see like, oh, they've got they've got a div here, or here's the URL. Here's the image div, and it's got a style background image with this image. And then in here, they put a link, so you click on it, and it goes to /s/New York. And then they put that text over it with the div tag, and then this is how they styled it over here. And so you can like mess with it and see how it works. And be like, oh, they put it at 32 pixels. What happens when I put it at 372? Oh, jeez. So that's a really awesome. If you're really into design or front end, like, it's a great way to do that. Knowing this is also, so I have a degree in computer science and I have another degree in information assurance, which is security stuff. And so, just a quick note on security. So, because all of this is, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are all published to the client, the browser, people can go in there and see it. And so a lot of times you'll see people do, because they don't understand what's going on, they'll use JavaScript to say, this form needs to have, on this form you need to fill out all of the fields. And with JavaScript, they'll be like, detect that, and then if they don't do it, say yes or whatever. Well, since it's on the client, I can go in here and change that. I can circumvent that myself. So I could theoretically fill out the form without any values in it and totally bypass your thing. Most of the time what you'll see happen is people will do the JavaScript on that end just to make it easy, but you never want to forget making the server, the one that's actually handling the response, to be able to check those things, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, if you're into design, it's totally something you should know how to use, because you can totally see how other people do stuff and then just...
And then you sort of got the same developing tools across.
Yeah, Firefox has it.
Everyone has their own. Personally, I'm a big fan of Chrome's the most.
What's the big difference?
Mainly interface. I mean, it's mainly it. They all offer the same types of functionality. It's just learning the interface, like Firefox is. Safari, a few years back, so if you've ever iOS apps are built with Xcode, and a while back, Safari and Chrome were both based on the same rendering engine WebKit, so they had the same developer tools, and then Safari had the brilliant idea to change their development tools to make it more like Xcode, which makes no freaking sense because you're web developing, not native app developing. But anyway, they changed theirs up to be just like, I don't know, whatever. The guy that designed that tweeted me and was like, how do you like it? And I was like, it's great. It sucks. But the one cool thing about this is a tangent, one cool thing though about the Safari one is that when you are developing an iOS app and you're running in a simulator on your local device, here's the iOS simulator. I can simulate running iPhone 5 on my computer here without having to have an iPhone 5. If I can get it to resize. Oh, it's under window. Okay. There we go. Hey, there's an iPhone. The one cool thing about this though is you can go into you can debug the Safari inside the simulator through Safari.
That's cool.
So this is Bing. This is the Bing website that's inside the simulator.
That's cool. You can do that all with Safari's.
With Safari's. Only because Safari is from Apple and the simulators from Apple. They're the only ones that do it.
So hypothetically, if you were to use Android Studio and use their simulator, could you do that on Android?
You can do that with Chrome.
With Chrome, yeah.
Yep, you can. Yep, I've done that in the past. I like Chrome's developer tools a lot better, obviously, and it works really well on Android. And they also, coincidentally, no, you can't do it. Both of them you can plug in via USB an actual device.
Yeah.
And debug the web page on the device in the developer tools on your computer.
But isn't it with the Apple one you actually have to pay for the developer stuff, from my understanding? To actually put stuff onto your phone or to interact with your phone. I don't know.
It may be.
Yeah, it's like $100 a year.
Yeah, something like that.
It may be, I'm not sure.
Android, it's free.
Android is free, yeah. Anyway, it's kind of a tangent, but...
Is there any way to block people from seeing the code?
No. I could sniff the network traffic to show you, when you request a web page, it returns the code. So, by nature, you have to put the code out there. That was something I was trying to say between the difference between the client and the server. So, code that runs on the server that responds to those requests,
Right.
that code you never have to show anyone. But ultimately, when someone requests a page from your website, you have to give them something back. And that's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. the Ruby code that I write on the server, no one has to see that. It just handles requests and then throws stuff.
We lost you.
Funny story, I once did that iOS simulator thing on my laptop once. I was on a plane, and this drunk businessman came up behind me and was like, "Whoa, your iPhone's on your computer." Yeah, go away. Alright, so I won't waste your time with updating the other ones unless you want to. But I can just show you. So there's my change. So I did a git status, and that showed me that I modified the file. I did a git diff. Sorry, I should explain my aliases. So git status. I don't like to type a lot. Again, laziness. So I alias g, which is equal to git, and then st is equal to status. So I just get really lazy. So anyway, git status is just telling me I'm on the branch master press, modified that file, cool. I can do git diff, and I can see that I added that line. That's awesome. So now I'm like, all right, ready to go. So
You have a question?
Yeah, I was just about to ask, how do you do that?
sorry, what?
How do you set those shortcuts instead of saying?
Oh yeah, you don't well, so the Git one, well, that's getting into Bash and the command line a little bit. That's we can talk about that later. But the Git one, in the home directory, you can edit a file called git config, and it takes a bunch of parameter. I mean, it stores a bunch of stuff. Your name, your email,
your aliases.
and then there's an alias section. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of aliases, and then I turn the color on, and have some defaults, and whatever. Yeah. I get pretty lazy with them. This one I added just because I didn't want to have to type the extra dot at the end. Okay, so now I'm like, cool. I'm ready to make that change. So I'm going to commit that. I'm going to essentially make a snapshot of the files and say, did that work? Want to mark this as a change set. So snapshot. So I'll provide it a message of added a press link, push enter, and then it says, there's your commit, added a press link. Here's the SHA hash. So every commit has a SHA, which is just an algorithm to uniquely identify a snapshot or git commit. So I can do git show and then paste that in, and it will show me diff, which is super helpful because then you can do git log, and you can see, hey, here are my logs or whatever. You can copy and paste one. Hey, there's what I did.
So that's equivalent to what you guys are doing in GitHub when you say commit. That's what you just did on the command.
And quick question with the git log, you don't have to copy that whole number, correct?
Yeah, so actually, good question. So you noticed that it only gave me 6 digits, whatever.
Yeah.
You actually only have to give git as many characters as it takes to uniquely identify that commit within the repo. So if I had a repo with one commit, I could give it the first character, and it would be like, oh, I know which one you're talking about. It's right there. The reason that it defaults to like 8 or whatever is because that, I don't know, they figured out mathematically 99% of the time or whatever that uniquely identifies it. But if for some weird reason you ever like copied all 8 digits and it was like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, copy all 24 and then it's like, oh, okay, that one.
Yeah.
Or copy the 9th character and then it'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, yeah. Git's pretty smart like that. So I want to publish this to the website, and I talked about branches earlier, so I'm going to merge my master press branch into the master branch. I mean, for this case, it's not, I normally wouldn't do that. I just wanted to show you when you're in a real world scenario where you're working at a company, they will almost always have strategies around branching and branching. So it's an important thing to ask when you start somewhere to say, how do you guys do branching? And do I need to name things a certain way and whatever? I normally, as you can see, like to name stuff off of the branch that I diverged from. So I just was in master, and then I made a branch off of master. So that's why I just said master/press. So in order to merge, I need to git checkout master because I want to merge master press into master. So I will git merge master press. Merging is a thing you could talk hours on, so I won't get into the specifics of it, but it successfully merged. I want to delete that branch. There's no more. But if we do a git log, you can see at the very top that my commit is there, so that's great. My branch is ahead of origin master by 1 commit. You can see that, I don't know, you probably haven't gotten into remotes yet, but remotes are just a way to, it's the term that Git uses to say this is a repo hosted somewhere else. And so as you can see, my origin remote is my Bitbucket account. You guys will probably see, if you typed git remote-p, you would see github.com instead. Basically, if I do a git push, it automatically knows that I'm going to push the master branch onto the origin master branch, and so it just pushed it there. Go back over to Bitbucket, just like you can do with GitHub, and see commits. There's my commit. Click on it. You can see it. Change this file and add it up. You do the same thing in GitHub. So anyway, this will take a second, but basically, I want to deploy, and this is something another thing that you will need to ask a lot and probably be walked through the first few times when you start somewhere in a real job is like, where are we hosting the web application, and how do we update it? How do we deploy it? There are tons of different ways. So some people have it set up so that when I just push to Bitbucket, that a deploy will automatically happen. That's how some companies have it set up. We don't have that set up right now. Some people will use just bash scripts that they wrote. Some people will use, for Ruby on Rails, a lot of people use a tool called Capistrano. I've used that before. We're hosting on Amazon Web Services, and we're using a service called Elastic Beanstalk, which you guys might want to look into. I guess it's an easy way to just kind of like get an app up and running on AWS without having to entirely know all the underlying resources that it's spinning up for you. Definitely recommend learning some stuff at some point because you'll see a lot of people posting on AWS. AWS is really affordable, so it's great for young startups. When companies get to a certain size, they basically have their own data centers and their own huge warehouses of computers that they host all their stuff on, like Twitter, Facebook, Google, all those people have their own huge data centers, and they hire people to, they buy servers, just manage it all manually. So in those cases, if you were to be hired there, you'd go like, "How do you deploy it?" They'd be like, "Well, we've got this custom way," but So you never know. It's something you have to ask. Like I said, we're using this, so for me, the deploy process just looks like that. Typing EB, which stands for Elastic Beanstalk, and deploy. It takes a second, but I'll come back to it after it's done. I'll show you that it updated the page. Questions? I'll answer questions. Yeah.
So earlier you do Git logs. So when you delete that branch and you show that you still have that log available, are all those branches is that previously deleted branch still available in that older log? Does that make sense? So like you deleted your log for posting that link, right? But before you deleted
the branch.
You deleted the branch. That's what I meant to say. But right after you deleted it, you showed that the log that you made earlier was still available, just if you ever want to go back to it.
Yeah.
Is that branch still available in that previous?
No,
log?
I deleted the branch.
So it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the commit isn't. And the way that works underneath the hood, I can't find it anymore, but I used to have this awesome article that showed you the internals of a Git repo. And so Git repo, I can still show you. So there's a hidden file here called .git. It's a directory. And so within .git, there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it stores in that folder is just a list of branch names and commit SHAs, commit codes. And all a branch is a pointer to a commit.
Okay.
So all I did was say, the master branch, which is just a pointer, move that pointer over here, and then get rid of that pointer. So all Git did was have a little file that just lists them all, and then just deleted them.
Hypothetically, if you were to go back to that commit, you're able to see all the initial files that were there, correct?
Go back to that.
Like, never mind. Just we'll ignore that question.
I can ask me more later, I guess.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Or are we done? Oh, I got that.
Are there rules also if you're going to make an alias per company, or can you take all of the list of the aliases and transfer them all back to their original word?
You mean the Git aliases, the ones that I was using?
Right, because you made them yourself. So if I'm going in and I don't know what you're using and I want to change it.
So those were just unique to my computer.
Okay, so on someone else's computer. Okay.
Totally
It's
different.
not to the code.
Yep.
Got it.
People sometimes publish their preferences as hey, if you want to use these, go ahead. But yeah, it's all up to the individual. And if you're on a PC and not a Mac, this will all be completely different. Don't even try to use a command line on a PC. Just remote to a different box or something.
We're going to use Cloud9 so they can go in their browser and have a Linux terminal. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I think those guys are in Boulder or Denver.
I don't know. Are they Colorado?
I didn't know that.
You just told me about it.
Yeah, they have Cloud9 IDE, so you can do the IDE in the browser. But then they sponsored an event I went to with them.
Oh, okay.
So they're around here. Anyway, there's the page. There's the new link I just updated. There it goes. It's a cool building. My favorite part actually is there's a basement bar. Oh my god, it's so sweet. It's blacked out brick, and it's so cool. And it's got 20 TVs. It's awesome. We're putting a bar down there called Fine and Dandy. Pretty sweet. I'll be there every night when I'm out there. So, I can't tell what time it is, but
It's about 40 after.
oh, okay.
So.
Sorry, I went over my time. But any other questions? Well, yeah.
Yeah, I got a question about EquityEats specifically.
Yeah, sure.
So when you said you compensated the people who did the crowdfunding, how would they get compensated based on revenue, or how did they get money back on their investments?
Sure. So they get paid, I think, back 20% every year or something like that until there's some agreement worked out. Yeah, in the first few years you get your money back incrementally every year, and then after that there's an agreement to say, yeah, you get X percentage of the profits.
For restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's different every time, but we've got a lawyer on staff that does all those contractors, whatever. I don't care. I get the thing to run. I don't care. I take the money.
Does that mean everyone has a controlling stake as well? They can have a say in what goes on?
They can have a say, a small say, yeah. They don't have enough power to decide to shut the
Right.
restaurant down.
So it's
But
revenue based, not controlling the stake in the company.
well, it's a stake, but it's not a controlling stake. Yeah.
When did you guys start getting press, and like, what did you do to like get the ball rolling? So all these people, did they like reach out to you, or did you start with like reaching out to one of them?
So we've got a guy that does all that, and that's Steve. He does that. So Steve, I don't know. He reached out to a bunch of people. He's got friends in the press industry or whatever. Right now, he's working on getting us in the New York Times. So I don't know. I don't have much insight on that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Is this the kind of task that you have an intern?
Yeah, updating the website and deploying stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess one of the really cool things I think that an intern would be able to learn about, I mean, obviously learning the tools we're using, Ruby on Rails, updating HTML and CSS, but then building out smaller features. So, and then getting to see kind of the architecture of how things are hosted. It's really simple when, I was just running the website locally and I could just go locally. But when you have things running in production, it's really complicated, and it's really interesting to know how these things are set up in the production world. So that would be some really cool exposure I think an intern would have. They could definitely be doing small stuff like updating HTML and CSS. They could also be doing larger stuff like we want to support a new feature or whatever, make a new branch and start to work on it, and I'll help you and mentor you and whatever. And yeah.
Quick question. Hopefully this isn't rude, and if it is, I'm sorry. But what's your guys' revenue model? How are you making money?
How we make money? Sure. So we take a percentage of cash flow after all the investors have been paid back of a successful restaurant. Yeah. And then we also take small revenue when they do pop-ups in our showrooms. Yeah.
So sort of like a rental fee for
Kind of, not exactly a rental fee, kind of a revenue share of you come in and you're mainly getting exposure for your larger
also,
goal.
It depends on like how they do with their pop-up versus their flat rate.
Right, it's not a flat rate. Yeah. Yeah.
Does EquityEats get equity as well? So if you guys get a percentage of revenue?
Yeah, I think we do. You're right. Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to get cool swag with the t-shirt?
I don't know. Last time I was in DC, they just threw this to me, and I was like, okay.
Because that's how you know a startup is successful, right?
So we have swag. Yeah, and we're still working out of someone's apartment. Yeah, that's the startup life, man. No, it's actually really fun. We have a really awesome team. Like I said, we have a guy that has been an executive chef, and so he's been the whole restaurant industry. Our CEO, Johan, that's the chef dude. Me. This guy ran mergers and acquisitions at AOL. He actually used to be a venture capitalist himself, so he's pretty fun to watch him like go out and pitch investors to invest in us. It's pretty fun. And then Johan went through the first Techstars Boulder class, actually.
Wow.
Which is how him and I got to know each other. And then he himself has experience with this type of industry because he himself is an accredited investor now. So he's actually invested in 2 different restaurants. One in LA that makes, like $1 million in profit a year. He gets a pretty good stake of that because he's an investor. And then another one in DC that is like about to go bankrupt. So he like understands like this is a really great like restaurant investment, and this is how it could go wrong, versus like this is how it could be so freaking sweet, So that's why we have really the expertise to get into this field. Yeah.
Sorry for the bunch of questions.
No, sure.
Has he ever spoken with you about if it helped him being in the industry before he sort of started his own website versus people who aren't in the industry that they're creating a website
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe there's a part of your question I'm missing, but I think if you're gonna solve a problem within a specific industry, you have to know that industry well enough to understand the problem, right? So I don't know. I don't know anything about stock trading. I'm not gonna go out there and fix stock trading. I know. I don't know. But code stuff, I'll open source code and fix stuff like that. Any other questions?
Do you have one, Brooke, or?
What?
Brooke,
No, it's okay.
raise your hand.
Are you sure?
Well, I was just wondering, like, what your guys' tools, like, so you make the tools and then you just hand them off to, like, or do you just, like, you help them use it, or do you do it all for them, and, like, what does that look like?
I do everything for the team, so the team doesn't do anything.
Or for, like, the restaurants
Just kidding.
and stuff?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. I was just being sarcastic. So the restaurants, we do everything for the restaurant. Like, if you're asking, like, how much do we help the restaurants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you said you, like, make tools for the restaurants to use so they don't just, like, use an Excel spreadsheet for their entire restaurant business.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, what's the question again? So, we provide a bunch of software to help them run their
So then
restaurant.
you give them the software and then do you like show them how to use it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't like run it for them?
No.
Okay.
So
You're
one of
just
the
providing
main
software.
what's that?
You're just providing the software.
Yeah.
Okay.
We provide a lot of software. They learn how to use it. One of the big issues with restaurants, I don't know if you've seen, you go to a restaurant and they're like the point of sale system that like waiters use to like track in, what you order and then charge your credit card or whatever. Those are like the most archaic, old pieces of crap you've ever seen in your life, right? Those things are incredibly expensive. The building that we just bought has a bunch of those old things, and it's estimated about $150,000 worth of that equipment. It's the biggest piece of crap you've ever seen, but it's incredibly expensive. And the only reason that they're able to charge that much is because restaurateurs go, well, at my last restaurant we used this, so let's just use that. They don't think about like, oh, maybe we should see if there's something better out there or whatever, And that's kind of our role, is to be like, look, we've seen all these different solutions. These are the best that are going to be able to give you what you need to do to run efficiently. Let's get you going. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is the MVP crowdfunding or the platform, like the service platform?
Sorry, what do you? Oh, you mean like the operations part of it?
Yeah, or it just sounded like there was two distinctive parts of the company, and is that two separate entities, or are you both working, or everyone's working on both of the things? That seems like two different.
Everyone's working on everything. The main goal of the company is to help launch successful restaurants. So we want restaurants that are in business for years to come. That's the main ultimate goal. Obviously, the first part of that is getting them funded with adequate capital. And then the other part of that is, okay, great, you've got the money, you're ready to go. Let's make sure you don't screw it up. So everyone works on everything, basically.
Cool. So 2 questions. One, do you exclusively provide your software to the restaurants that have been crowdfunded because of EquityEats, or have you ever tried giving your software to other restaurants?
Maybe at some point down the line that might be an option, but no, it's mainly to people that are raise capital on our platform.
And then, have you ever thought of crowdfunding restaurants that just need additional capital that are already formed?
No, maybe that'll be something in the future, but really it's about raising successful restaurants, but it's also mainly about changing a community, having people be able to have a voice in their community.
Yeah, it's definitely more profitable to build it ground up, but there's just other things that I thought of.
Yeah, I guess we kind of get into that business of, what is it,
loans, basically,
No, we get into the business of restaurant impossible or something. No, restaurant. Save a restaurant where he comes in and goes, "You're doing it all wrong."
That's not really what I'm thinking. That wouldn't be smart. It'd be more like, a restaurant's doing really well, but they don't have the capital to make the next step.
Well, my question would be, if they're doing really well, why do they need additional capital?
You'd be surprised, especially for land or something, especially in a large city.
Well, if they're doing
they
really
have one location, but they need another location, or something like that. That's just an example.
Well, if they're doing really well at their other one, then it's proven that they know how to run a restaurant.
I know they're not asking you for assistance with the restaurant, just additional capital.
We are actually doing that. An NHL player from the Washington Capitals approached us as wanting to open another location of their restaurant. We're going to be raising money for them.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I was saying.
Mm-hmm. We also have a Washington Redskins football player that we're opening a restaurant for him in Harlem.
Can you not disclose his name?
No.
I was just wondering.
All right, well, can you stay for a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. And yeah, feel free to hang out and ask any other questions you have, but
yeah,
feel free to go as well. We'll see you guys all on Thursday.
Yeah. Kelton.
Is that stuff doing
It's Monday. Yeah, so Thursday is just a work day. Just set up everything and workshop. When is it tonight? Okay. I've actually never been to one.